And it's my great pleasure now to introduce Dame Steve Shirley.
Thank you, my lady, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As Ambassador for Philanthropy, I have pledged to inspire the idea that giving is a pleasurable act of desire and compassion to help change or challenge any aspect of society by raising the bar on our capability to be generous. I hope to say some things that haven't been said before. I'm going to talk about my childhood, my years in business, and now my emphasis on giving. But first, I want to acknowledge the outstanding work of the Community Foundation Network and thank your leaders for having the vision incorporated now into the manifesto for community philanthropists to drive such breakthrough ideas. And these will also inform government and policymakers, and my own thinking has been much influenced by your manifesto. And that seeks to envisage a new way forward, a way for individual initiative embodied in private giving to work alongside that of government. There are things that government can and should do for the greater good, and things that are better off left to individuals through private philanthropy and community self-direction. And that's the power of community foundations. And I'm behind you completely. Let me introduce myself. I learned about giving early. As you've heard, I was an unaccompanied child refugee and so have been the recipient of charity. When I was 5 years old, my German Jewish parents did a very brave thing. They saved me from the Holocaust by sending me to England on a kinder transport into the arms of strangers, thinking never to see me again. I was one of 10,000 lucky children who arrived in London, part of the largest ever migration of children. I was stateless, penniless, and of course without a word of English. It's not true. My father had taught me some useful phrases, so I could say things like slow combustion stove and vine screen viper. But I didn't, excuse me. I didn't know how to ask how to go to the bathroom. I was doubly lucky. My birth parents, my birth family was later united, but I was fostered by a wonderful couple who brought me up as they would their own, and I am their child, really. Now, those experiences influenced me in 3 ways. I learned to cope with change, indeed to welcome that tomorrow is different from today and very much different from yesterday. And secondly, to deal with my survivor guilt that we didn't know about post-traumatic stress in 1939, but it's an irrational depression at having survived when so many died. And it making me want to make each day count and to make my life worth saving. And finally, as an immigrant, I love this country with a passion that perhaps only someone who has lost their human rights can feel. Moving now to my years in business, I'm often asked for the secrets of commercial success. And one secret is to choose your partner very carefully. And the other day when I said, my husband's an angel, somebody complained. You're lucky, she said. Mine's still alive. In my first job, I went to evening classes to get my degree. And later, as we were planning for a family, I founded a software house that eventually became a public company as a 20th century cottage industry for women. A company of women, a company for women. And I pioneered the professionalism of women, and I was the first woman this, the first woman that. Driven not by the technology, however fascinating that is, but by the social crusade. In those days, nobody expected much from women in work, and all the expectations really were about home and family responsibilities. I couldn't accept that. And so challenged the conventions of the day, even to the extent of changing my name from Stephanie to Steve, so as to get through the door before anyone realized that Steve was a woman. Excuse me. I recruited professionally qualified women who had left the computer industry on marriage or when their first child was expected, and structured them into a home working organisation. And it was a way of giving opportunities to women. And my company was also an early member of the Percent Club, committing a percentage of pre-tax profits to the community. And recent research actually shows that corporate giving is directly good for business. The positive branding, and brand is as brand does, leads to improved sales, new customers, more loyal customers, buying more. My company's mature success, it was 25 years before we ever paid a dividend, but its eventual success enabled my husband and I to change our lifestyle, but we didn't want to change it completely. So we live relatively modestly, with my time in retirement spent on my charitable foundations and its constituent beneficiaries. And this provides me with a super lifestyle. I'm a workaholic, and I like to be part of a group, be actively busy, spend my time with interesting people on worthwhile projects. And like the Quakers, I believe in the beauty of work when we do it properly and in humility. Now, gone are the days when wealthy women have always married or inherited their money. All my wealth comes from that software house. So I started off by giving shares in that company away, firstly to the staff and then to various charities. And those gifts were always with the strict instruction for them not to be sold for 6 months. Otherwise, I would get a heavy tax penalty, and I had no cash with which to pay it. I don't like gifts with strings attached, reservations. So the charitable Shirley Foundation was formed, set up, so that the shares could go directly to it, so that 6 months later, the Shirley Foundation could write unencumbered cheques. We paid no attention at all to the charity name, never thinking for a moment that it would be other than a conduit for financial transactions.